Do I look pretty? You fuck me. I fuck me. I fuck me hard. Who's gonna meme this? Someone's gonna meme this. Someone's gonna meme this. Okay. I'm a pouty vampire. Pouty. Pouty. My only friend. My only friend. What? There's been a lot of controversy about what is now known as the legacy or the saber-tooth Ankh. For some, it's a point of pride, and for others, it's a point of contention. The Ankh itself has had a very colored past, and, to a lot of people's surprise, it wasn't always the symbol of the saber-tooth clan. I'm going to make an analogy here, and I really hope everybody doesn't get offended here. There is a point to this. Look, I'm doing the Donald Trump fingers. We're the best. We get the best Ankhs. We get the best Ankh. Much like the no-Nazi symbol called the swastika, the symbol's origins of the swastika actually came a millennia prior to the Germans' use of it by Hindus and Buddhists alike, and roughly translates to the phrase well-being, far from the symbol of intolerance and hatred it is now known for. It's amazing how some things can get ruined if taken into the wrong hands. And like the swastika, oftentimes the sigil is met with statements like, "No! Cults! Mindless zombies! Undead Donald Trump!" We have the best Ankhs ever. Yet our Ankhs are so amazing, they are not low energy. And we're going to make vamps great again. By building a wall, we're going to build a big wall around the community, just using our Ankhs, because our Ankhs are the best. Yes. I have a small penis. It goes with my hands. Things are freaking huge in them. So everybody just chill your triggers, and let's delve into the sigil's past. In 1997, I met a man named Aaron Todd Hoyt, otherwise known as Sebastian, and as many of you know, he does a lot of vampire events. Well, that year, I pretty much went to every single one I possibly could, including his yearly vampire ball. Towards the end of the year, he actually asked me to partner up on a project. Originally, he had partnered up with a man named Ralph Spindell, but Ralph's completely psychotic. That didn't last very long, and it quickly devolved in arguments allegedly over money, blah blah blah. So Ralph quit, but it didn't end there. Instead of just quitting and going away, he hacked the domain names and re-registered to himself. He stole all the documentation that he and Aaron wrote together, set up the project by himself, and to add insult to injury, he started an anti-Sabertooth campaign on this organization's website. Now, I wasn't very professional. Originally, they had come up with the name the Coven Organization, but since that was no longer an option, Aaron had to change the name. Aaron renamed the project to the SANGUINARIUM, which I thought was an amazing and very original name. Well, that is until I realized that the name came from an episode of The X-Files in 1996 of the same name. Either way, still a cool name for a vampire organization, right? I was given some sketches of what the sigil would look like. It was an Ankh, but not just any Ankh. This Ankh had a saber blade on the bottom, fangs on the side where the horizontal line of the Ankh would be, and a double loop at the top. Now, to top it off, it had a concave area carved out dead center in which various colored gems could be placed to denote position within the organization. Originally, Aaron had the inspiration to do a bladed Ankh based on the 1983 cult classic The Hunger, starring David Bowie and, I'm going to butcher her name, I know it, Catherine Deneuve? Anyway, in the movies, the vampires had no fangs or claws, but rather carried these Ankhs that had a sheathed blade hidden inside it, in which they used to kill and feed on their prey. As Hollywood awesome as that sounds, the actual history of the bladed Ankh goes back thousands of years to Egypt, where priests of the deity Horus brandished bladed Ankhs for ritual sacrifice. But unlike other bladed weapons, it was considered a ritual tool of mercy.
Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. It's good enough.
Since the Ankh's inception, many other houses adopted the concept of the bladed Ankhs and have made different versions based on the original design, as you can see here. I admit I was one of them. In fact, I was the first to make an Ankh based on the original design. My Ankh has an angel with its wings in the shape of a loop, the fanged sides as the original, and both the curved blade of the original Sanguinarium blade as well as the straight blade of the second Sanguinarium Ankh, outfitted together with a blood groove dead center. Nasty. Here are some graphics originally done for the Sanguinarium project. As you can see, I was originally confused by the blade shape, as the sketches showed the Ankh with the sheath on. I thought the sheath was a blade. I later corrected the mistake. While looking through some of our notes, I gravitated to the concept of the Black Swan very heavily. It was one of the definitions under the original Scrolls of Elderoth under the Sanguinarium, so much so that I incorporated some of that imagery in my old art. Too bad black swans are rare these days. I miss mine. And to this date, I haven't found a suitable one since. Some people have asked me what the acronym behind Elderoth really is, since they heard it was a veiled message glorifying Mr. Hoyt. I always tell them the truth. No. The person behind the insidious acronym was actually Ralph Spindell himself, the man who sabotaged the project in the first place. The truth is much simpler. Elderoth was Mr. Hoyt's character name in Dungeons & Dragons. Still an interesting name, regardless of its origins. Fun fact, Sabretooth the Fang Company was originally called the Tooth Fairy, but another wiser fangsmith convinced him to change the name, unless he was planning on only catering to a certain demographic. But hey, it was the 90s. This video really isn't about neither me nor Aaron. This video is about the man who gave us the sigil, the Drinnen, a force of nature, a powerful man with a soft-spoken voice, sharp wit, and an original style to his entire being. If a Greek god were to fall to the earth and live among us, it would be him. The Drinnen was what we refer to as a master metal manipulator, a jeweler of the most extreme nature. He would regularly be covered in original biomechanical concoctions of his own making, part man, part machine. He strode through the scene with a confidence that left everyone in awe. Yet, an almost non-existent ego, a kind and intelligent heart, and a dry, witty sense of humor and mischievousness. Here's another fun fact. Are any of you familiar with the tradition that Endless Night does with the Howl? If you aren't, here's the breakdown. Mr. Hoyt stops the festivities of the night and has the audience and staff howl to honor the Drinnen. Sounds amazing and inspirational, right? But then you ask yourself, why howl? Isn't he a vampire? Doesn't make any sense. Well, the truth is just another example of the Drinnen's mischievous nature. During the first Endless Night, a certain individual, who I will not name, met Gypsy, the king of the New Orleans werewolves. Said individual proceeded to tell Gypsy that he didn't believe in werewolves, they didn't exist, and only vampires did. Now, I don't know why Homeboy's still eating solids after that encounter, because Gypsy's like one scary bastard. Anyway, that Saturday night was the Elders' VIP dinner, and several of the elders and community leaders were giving speeches. Apparently, the Drinnen, he found out about a conversation between Gypsy and said individual. When it was his turn to speak, the Drinnen walked up to the mic with a smile on his face, held his head high, inhaled deeply, threw his head back, and let out a perfect howl that seemed to vibrate the halls, as the entire New Orleans community, vamp and wolf alike, cheered, clapped, and howled along with the Drinnen. Everybody loved it. It was amazing. Well, not everybody loved it. And yes, I was there, and so was Lord Chas. Promise. The Drinnen is the mastermind behind the sigil. He sketched and crafted it single-handedly, and from his creativity he pounded into existence a historical symbol that will forever live in infamy. It was truly his mark in history. During his tenure with Sabretooth, he crafted other jewelry such as claw rings, ancient keys, and other necklaces. They were known as the artifacts of the Drinnen, since all of them had an ancient primal feel from them. However, this would not be the last sigil he would gift the world. While the Sanguinarium was almost an overnight success, for some reason, activity died out almost completely several months later. As hundreds of us were already walking around with the Ankh already, Aaron decided that since the Sanguinarium had failed, that the Sanguinarium Ankh is now the Sabertooth Ankh and absorbed all the remaining Sanguinariums into the clan Sabertooth. Unfortunately for him, he was very wrong. A month after his decree about the Ankh, the Sanguinarium popped back up 10 times the numbers and force it originally surged with. This presented another problem. As he couldn't just switch the sigil back to the Sanguinarium, he contracted a second design from the Drinnen. Sanguinarium Ankh, 2nd edition. This hit the market pretty hard. The second Ankh, while impressive in design, was made from far less stable materials and had a knack for breaking right here, kind of at the neck of the design. However, this design went farther and wider than the original design of the first Sanguinarium and hit almost all corners of the planet. This design stayed consistent for the next 6 years. Fast forward to 2004, and Sabertooth released the infamous V Almanac as a special edition during Endless Night. I did all the artwork for this book. It featured not only a standard yearly almanac content and profiles in various community heads, but art from a tarot deck that he and I had designed, a marriage certificate, and the Sanguinarium Ankh 3rd edition. Here we go. I designed the Ankh myself this time, well, trying to stay within the realm of the Drinnen's design. As you can see, it actually serves as a bookmark as well as the sigil. However, it seems that this Ankh, when it went to production, was carved by the lowest bidder. Clearly, as you can see, not very accurate to the graphic that I originally created. I don't really like opening this book very much, as the binding is very fragile and cracks and breaks too easily. Oh well. Put you back. While you would think this would be the end of the history lesson, unfortunately there's more. February 14th, 2005. Tragedy struck the community on an international level when the Drinnen was found dead in his study by his own hand. His last words in suicide letter written on his MySpace blog, of all places. His body was not discovered until almost a week later because no one believed his suicide note. We were all devastated. No one saw this coming. Hundreds of us wrote on his MySpace page our goodbyes and our best wishes in the next life, comment, whatever. Later on, we took all those and compiled a video that played at his memorial service. His life after the Drinnen. It would never be the same. To this day, his MySpace page is still there. It still stands. A haunting digital tomb filled with familiar faces, all who loved him. After his death, the Ankh was taken off the market. Aaron claimed he did this out of sadness. He couldn't bear to look at the Drinnen's work anymore. It would remind him of his death. Naturally, there was some controversy over that decision. Nearly half a decade later, wounds started to mend, feelings more in check. The Ankh would be re-released under a new producer and designer, and to our delight, he was released under the company Alchemy Gothic Jewelry, who had a sterling reputation amongst us dark vampy types. This version was slick and stylized, unlike the original version, which had a very primal feel to it. And no wonder, Aaron told me that he'd submitted my graphics and vector outlines to the company to create. I was overjoyed that I actually had a hand in bringing back the design. Look how small it is, so cute. You call it the baby Ankh. This is the baby Sabertooth Ankh. As you can see, this is roughly about a third of the size of the original piece. And this one actually fit more with everyday wear rather than the original design, which was very much like a going out piece. So this was a lot more convenient, and I personally wore this one a lot. Very soon after that, Aaron decided to re-release the original design in sized Ankh, but this time under the title that we all know and love today as the Legacy Ankh, which has remained so to this day. But does it end there? Not quite. Without getting too much into drama and politics, I'll try to cover this next part, which in more contemporary news is causing quite a controversy. Years ago, the Sabertooth clan had split into two major factions. Those under Aaron, aka Sebastian, were designated Sabertooth Alpha, and those under his former partner, Vincent of House Orion, were designated Sabertooth Omega. As the Drin's Ankh and design was near and dear to everyone's heart, and as the split no longer allowed the Omega branch of the family access to it, a decision was made by Lord Shaolin Asura McPhee, now Prince Lord Shaolin Asura McPhee. Did I do that right? We just pile on the titles? Is it? Anyways, in mid-2013, he commissioned what is now known in the Gotham Halo as the Sabertooth Vampire Resurrection Ankh, or the SVR Ankh for short, if you don't want to choke on your words. This is a tribute to all the High Elders, the Drinin, and everyone who helped found the very basis of what the family and the community was for the mid-90s and on up. Legal concerns about whether or not this was legal is currently in debate between Aaron Hoyt and Shaolin McPhee. While I can't speculate on legal issues, what I do know is this. Shaolin is not making any money off the Ankh. In fact, any orders go straight to the jeweler who produced the new design. I can also say that comparatively speaking, the SVR Ankh is nearly 50% larger, heftier, and thicker, as well as having several key structural differences that do not make this what Aaron Hoyt describes as a carbon bootleg copy, as you can see with the side-by-side comparisons. But I'm no lawyer. I guess time will tell where this debate will land. The Drinin gave us a very beautiful symbol. Don't let a few people douching up ruin it for everyone. I have plenty of friends of the Sabertooth family, including some of its top members who don't drink the us or them Kool-Aid. I believe the Drinin would be very saddened to see what came of his creations if he were still with us. It's just sad. That's the only thing I can say. It's just sad. And while some of this info might clash with what you've either heard or read in the past, please realize that I'm only speaking from what I've personally witnessed or have participated in. And for those who are new to this, I really hope I've cleared up some questions that you might have had. So what now? What about the unity that the Sigil originally had hoped to create? Isn't a unified community the way to go? Isn't that the safe bet? Isn't that what's going to push us all to the next level? What do we do now? What symbol do we get behind now to signify our unity and solidarity? This is the fleur de sang. This is our unity. This is our solidarity. This is our battle cry. This is what will unite us in the future. While I can't say too much at the time, Logan South and I have decided to start a unity project, and with the help of people like Prince Shaolin, Gia Bathory, and Aaron Shadowhawk, to name a few, we will be offering a solid alternative to the disunity amongst our people. But that, my friends, is another story for another time. I want to thank all the new communities that I have been seeing popping up around the country and around the world. For a while, I was worried that my life's work would go by the wayside once I had passed on. But now I'm glad to see the next generation of community leaders taking a stand and doing good for their people and the culture as a whole. I'm looking at you, Texas.
The stars at night are big and bright.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
And furthermore, I hope your example inspires 1,000 others to stand up and follow in your footsteps. I love you all. Give me a hope for a brighter future. Until now, I've been as factual as I can. This last part is where I get personal. This is for Drinin personally. Dear Drinin, not a day goes by that I don't miss you, my friend. When I first came into community, I found brotherhood with you. You were the only other artist in the Sabertooth clan. I always tried to honor you with my graphics or your art, as you in return honored me with my house sigil. that you created for me on my 24th birthday. You know, I have nothing left from my time in New York City. Nothing but this. I keep this close to me at all times in remembrance of you. When I was struggling to aspire to being a fangsmith, you helped me find supplies and set me on my path. No one else in the family helped me. No one else cared. Only you. I'm sorry it hurt you when I left New York, but my life led me to New Orleans, and I had to stay my path. My only other regret is that I was ignorant then, and to this day, of your inner demons, your struggles, that led you to your final decision. Just know that you are loved, that you are missed, that you are respected, and that you were then, and still are to this day, the very best of us. I hope you're in a better place. We will see each other again someday.